All right, so we're back. I've got mine drawn. This one's kind of tough to draw, especially with these dotted lines, but we do need to see the dotted lines because they show us what the base is, okay? And so we can see that the base is a square. It's 18 by 18. So volume of a pyramid is volume of a pyramid is the area of the base. It's 1/3 big B H. 1/3 of the area of the base times the height. So what we're really going to first do is find the area of the base. This is a square, 18 by 18. And so 18 times 18 is, let's see what that is. 18 times 18 is 1. That's not true. 18 times 18 is 324. All right, so come back to the screen. We're going to do 1/3 times the big B area of the base, which we just figured out was 324, times the height, okay? So the height must go at 90 degrees with the base. We can see a 90-degree angle here. So we know the 16 is the height of the pyramid. So 1/3 times 324 times 16. So really, anytime you multiply by a third, you really just divide by 3. All right, so we don't need a fancy calculator to multiply by a third. We're just going to divide it by 3. Now, I can either multiply these two together and then divide by 3, or I can divide either of those by 3. What I know is 324 is divisible by 3, so I'm going to go ahead and do 324 divided by 3. 324 divided by 3 is equal to 108, which then I can multiply by 16. Go ahead and do that. $17.28. This is listed in inches. So 1,728 cubic inches is that pyramid. So just a review, we first found the area of the base. The base is a square, 18 times 18. It's where the 324 came from. Divided it by 3, which is the same as multiplying it by a third to get 108, times the height of 16 gives us 1728. Okay. So that's how you're going to do that. Maybe we can find a pyramid that does not have a square for a bottom so you can see how it's different. But in the meantime, let's just move on to number 6. Okay, if you want to pause your screen, go ahead and do number 6. All right, so you can see my drawing. Looks pretty bad in the video, but I don't know. It's a cone. When you think of a cone, I want you to think of an ice cream cone. Basically what it looks like. This one would be an upside down ice cream cone, but regardless, it's a cone. And so if you go to your formula sheet and look up cone, you're going to see volume of a cone is 1/3 pi r squared times height. All right, so that should kind of look familiar to you. If you remember when we were looking at cylinders, a cylinder is pi r squared times height. This is the same, pi r squared times height, but it's got the 1/3. So what you may notice is we had a 1/3 a minute ago for a pyramid. And so that 1/3 is going to come in anytime we go from a base up to a point. Okay, so whether that was the pyramid it went up to a point, or the cone that goes up to a point, that's where the 1/3 comes in. And so anytime you go up to a point, you're going to basically divide that volume by 3 at the end. So we're going to do that at the end. We're going to start by really treating this like it's a cylinder. Pi r squared is the bottom, the circle, times the height, which has to go at 90 degrees at the base. So there's the height of 15. So pi r squared times 15. But then we cut it down by dividing it by 3 because it's going to a point. Sounds complicated, but really we only need 2 numbers to put into the formula: the radius and the height. Besides that, your calculator is going to do the work. Okay, you're going to have a calculator for these problems. So it's just a matter of taking the information from your problem and putting it into your formula and working it out. All right? Is the 9 the radius or the diameter? We know by looking at where does it go. This is halfway from the center to the edge. So that's our radius. 9 is our radius. So we're going to do 1/3 pi times 9 squared times the height, which we can see the 90-degree angle is 15. All right, so your first step, input your information into the formula. 9 for R and 15 for H. Okay, so now we're going to work this out. I'm going to rewrite it in how I'm going to put it in the calculator, which is going to be pi times 9 times 9. That's 9 squared times 15. And then I'm going to take all that and divide it by 3. That's where the 1/3 is going to come in, okay? So you can watch my keystrokes on my calculator. So here's my calculator. Clear? So pi times r squared, 9 times 9, times, no, start over. Clear. Pi times the radius squared, so 9 times 9, times the height of 15, and divided by 3 equals 1,272.345. So let's just call it 0.35. This is listed in inches. So since this is volume, it's cubic inches. Cubic inches. Stop my share there. All right. So 1/3 times pi times the radius squared times the height. Here's where what I did in the calculator. Pi times the radius squared, 9 times 9 times 15, but then divided it by 3 to bring in this 1/3. Okay, brings me to 1272.35 cubic inches. Is how we would read that. Okay. All right, let's go back to our worksheet. So that was a cone. So here's a couple more pyramids, a couple more cones, or a pyramid, a cone, and a sphere. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the screen myself. If you want to pause the screen, why don't you work through these 3, and then I'm going to come back and show you an abbreviated version of these. I'll show you the formulas and the answers. Okay, so go ahead and pause the screen and then go ahead and work those out. All right, so hopefully you are back and feeling pretty good about the problem. So let me just show you here. Here was the first one. Sorry. It was a pyramid, and found the formula of V equals 1/3 big B times H, area of the base. So the area of the base was a square. 5 times 5 is how we got 25. Plug 25 in, and the height of 4. Multiply it out. 25 times 4 is 100. Times 1/3 or divided by 3 is how we get the volume of 33.33 cubic meters. Okay. All right, and let's come over here to the next problem, which is a cone. Volume of a cone is 1/3 times pi times r squared times height. So we need the radius and the height. What you may notice is this is not the radius. The 4 is not the radius. That goes all the way across. So we actually need to cut it in half for the radius. Half of 4 is 2. Plug the 2 in for the radius and the height of 8 in for the height. So work it through and you are left with the answer of 33.5 cubic millimeters. Okay. So go ahead and try the next one. We'll go through it. All right, and now we're back with this problem. So start by identifying the shape. Shape is a cylinder. I'm sorry, it's not a cylinder, it's a sphere. It's like a ball. And write the formula down. 4/3 times pi r to the cube, third power, sorry, cubed. The only information we need from the sphere itself is the radius. We see 22. 22 represents the distance across the sphere. We need the radius, which is half of that, okay? So therefore, we put the 11 in for the radius. Everything else comes down as it is. So the radius cubed, 11 times 11 times 11, is what we're multiplying by pi and by 4/3. Remember, when you multiply by 4/3, you really multiply by 4 and then divide by 3. So that's what we have here. 4 times pi times 11 times 11 times 11 over 3. When you work that out, you're left with 5,575.3 cubic centimeters. All right, that's like I said, that's probably the toughest type of volume problem you're going to have is a sphere. Okay. So you got a couple more problems here. Number 10, it's not really a shape that's on the formula sheet. I think you can do it if you look at number 10 like a triangle, the front of it, which is 11 by 12. Find the area of that front shape and then multiply it by its depth of 11. All right, same way you're going to do number 11. Start with looking at the triangle at the top and find the area of that triangle, which is base times height divided by 2. 5 times 12 is 60, divided by 2 is 30. So the area of the top of that is 30, but then we got to multiply it by the length or the depth of 16. Okay. Here's some word problems, which are probably fairly easy too, because you just look at the shape. They're not really word problems, they're just words. They give you the shape and then the information that you need. And then we've got some word problems. So let's try one of those. How about number 16? Go ahead and try number 16 and then come back to the video. All right, so looking at this first problem, a water storage tank has a cylindrical shape. The base has a diameter of 18 meters and the tank is 32 meters high. How much water to the nearest cubic unit can the tank hold? So really, you know, when it comes to a word problem, you should probably try to sketch something out, make sense of the problem. It's a cylindrical shape, which means it's a cylinder. It's got a base with a diameter. They specifically said diameter of 18 all the way across. It's got a height of 32. Pi r squared times height is the formula for a cylinder. And so now we just put our numbers in. The radius would actually be half the diameter. So it's going to be a 9 squared and the height of 32. Okay. Pi times 9 squared times 32. Work it through. That's the answer to your problem. I'm not even going to do it because I'm a little bit worried about time. So let's see what some other sheets are that I've given you. Again, some word problems. On this worksheet, anything that has to do with pi, we had a worksheet like this before where they don't multiply it out times pi. So they, for instance, number 3, the answer is 144 times pi. So if you're going to work some of these out, then you need to just know that the answers involving pi, they don't multiply it out times pi. Okay, so I think you can probably do all these. If you take a look at number 7 here, number 7 is a half of a sphere. So you're going to solve that problem exactly like you would a regular sphere, and then get your answer and cut it in half, because that would be half of a sphere. Okay, try some of these. Let me know if you need help. Try some word problems. If you work through this packet, you're going to get to the end where there's 2-step problems. They're compound shapes, and so this packet's going to be good for that. I don't think you're going to have that on the test though. So plenty of practice here. Make sure you hit me up if you have questions, and let me know what you're struggling with, and I will work with you individually, or if enough of you are having the same struggles, I'll make a video specifically on that. Okay, so just to kind of recap and finish this one up, that's probably longer than the rest. Volume is a measurement of 3-dimensional space. The measurement is found by using the correct formula for the shape that you're looking at. Okay, some real life problems would be like mulch, or anything. Maybe you're gonna rent a storage shed and you need to know how much space is on the inside, something like that. So anytime you're measuring a 3-dimensional space, it's in volume, it's cubic units, and find the formula. Work it through. Okay, I know you guys can do this, no problem. But let me know where you get stuck, and I'll be happy to help you. Okay, so hope you're all doing well during this crazy time, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Take care. Bye.